Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us here at the African Reform Movement channel, where we discuss everything African reform with an emphasis on Ghana. As always, I'm your host, Uche. Dr. Neil will be joining us very, very shortly. But if you're joining us here for the very first time, I just want to say welcome and thank you for joining us. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, and please do let your friends and family know about this channel and what Dr. Neil is sharing. Again, if you're here for the first time, Dr. Nee has a number of social media platforms, which you can see all there. As I always say, they're also included in the description box below this particular broadcast. So don't worry, don't have all the time to take them down right now. You can get it afterwards. Okay. Dr. Nee also has a book nook store. He speaks of Weep Not Africa, The Fifth Republic. He's the author of those books, and they are available from this site to purchase. So please make a note of that. But also, this detail is in the bottom of his video, his description box. Okay, so Dr. is just not joining us yet. He'll be with us very shortly. Okay, 1 second. So we haven't got anyone joining us just yet, but when you do log on here, please, if you can, let us know where you are watching this from. That'd be really cool. If also there are any issues or things concerning Ghana, Ghanaian politics that you'd like Dr. Nee to consider talking about, or any questions you have for him, please also feel free to post that in this chat box here. I'll make sure that he sees those. Okay. Let's give him a couple more minutes. He should be with us shortly, very, very shortly. Oh, and here he is. Hi, Dr. Nee.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How's it going?
Oh, it says no connection. Just a minute.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Oh, you want to find a way to stabilize your camera? You just want to find a way to stabilize your camera.
Let me just see. Okay. Right.
You okay? You ready to go?
Yeah, ready to go.
Okay, excellent. Right, hands go over to you. Oh, before I go, I haven't told people what today's title is about. Today, the title is From a Protectorate to a Colony and Then an Independent Nation State. Yeah. The story of Ghana.
Yes.
Okay? So it should be quite juicy. So please pay attention. Any questions, please don't forget to put them in the chat box here and Dr. will answer. Okay?
You know, I've been very busy the whole of today. I went for what they call ALS, Advanced Life Support Training. So I came back. I just came back now.
Oh, wow.
I sent you a message when I was on the way.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah.
I saw that one, yeah. Okay, Dr. Nee, over to you.
Oh, are you online?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I didn't know.
So can't you see me?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know that you started the broadcast.
Oh yeah, I started before we came on. Started dead on 12.
Oh, okay. All right, brothers and sisters. Thanks very much for making time to meet me today. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, which is now all over the place in Ghana because of some comments made by Yosafo Manfo, one of the president's advisors. He said that when the Eastern chiefs, or when the Achem chiefs were struggling for independence, the Asante chiefs were not there, or something to that effect. Anyway, today we are going to see how Ghana evolved, okay, so that we know whether what he said was true or not true. So we are starting from today is from protectorate to a colony, and then finally to an independent nation state. The story of Ghana. When did this Ghana begin, and how did it begin? We have to start somewhere. So we are starting from the Bond Treaty of 1844, 6th of March. Now, the Bond Treaty was signed between some Fanti coastal states, especially Fantis, with the British to protect them against Ashanti invasions. It was a protectorate, not a colony. That started on the 6th of March, and then gradually, almost all the coastal states, including Accra, got involved. They all became protectorate of the British Crown. A protectorate is not a judicial arrangement, it's not a political arrangement, it's a defense arrangement. Okay, that one entity protects the other entity. Okay, good. This was signed, the first treaty was signed on the 6th of March, 1844. Now, between 1844 and 1874, the coastal states were a protectorate of the British. The British declared the south of the Pearl River, the coastal states up to the Pearl River, a colony in July, I think 24th of July, 1874. So for 30 years, it was a protectorate. Now, the coastal states realized that although the British had signed a treaty of a protectorate with them, they were expanding their powers into other areas, into judicial and political matters. The first resistance to British policy was started in 1868 by what is known as the Fanti Confederacy. The Fanti chiefs came together to form what actually would look like a modern state with a president and an army commander and all those things to try and protect themselves against British expansionism. They tried to reclaim most of the things they were doing as traditional leaders from the British. Obviously, they will miss some opposition, but at the end of the day, that Fanti Confederacy broke down by 1873. It lasted for about 5 years because they didn't have money to run a modern state. Now, just east. So this was the first recorded history of some form of resistance to British entrenchment on our land. This was in 1868. The following year, there was another confederacy called the Accra Native Confederacy. 1869. They actually declared Republic of Accra. Now, the founder of this confederacy was Mr. Luttrot from Osu. The difference between the Accra Native Confederacy, I know most of you have never heard of this before. It was founded in 1869. The difference between the Accra Confederacy and the Fanti Confederacy was that the Fanti Confederacy was started by the chiefs, but the Accra Confederacy was started by the elite. So obviously, the chiefs sabotaged them, and that also collapsed. But these were the first two resistance to British policy on our land. Nowhere else anything is recorded. Okay, the Fanti Confederacy and the Accra Native Confederacy. As you all know, on the 24th of July, 1874, the coast, I mean, the south, the state south of the Pearl River became a colony. And the capital was moved from Cape Coast to Accra 2 years later. Now, when the capital was moved to Accra, the governor then decided to impose a tax called the poll tax in Accra. If people know what poll tax is, you can check what poll tax is. They tried to impose poll tax in Accra. Obviously, the Gamanche then, King Takitayua the first, resisted fiercely, made it impossible in the end. So the first chief that resisted British policy was King Takitayua. Okay, you can all Google and do what I want to do. But the first chief that resisted British policy was King Takitayua. And what happened to him? He was exiled for 3 years. Okay, this is the history. He was exiled for 3 years, I think to Elmina or to somewhere else. He wasn't taken out of the country. He was an internal exile for 3 years. And what did the whole of Ghana do? And when I say Ghana, I don't mean Gamache, I mean from Awutu to Adan. They said that we are not going to get a new Gamanche until our Manche comes back. And there was no Gamanche for 3 years, 1878 to 1881. There was no Gamanche. The people resisted with their Manche. Now, if you hear Wulomo sing, Mele ni yae, it was about King Takitayua. Apparently, all the armies from Temanungwa, Teshin, Laosu, my grandmother's grandfather, Asfache Anandotia of Osublogodo, he led us troops. When they went there, King Takitayua came out. They thought he would be wearing red to signify war, but he came out wearing white. And he was surrounded by Nae Wulomo, Sakumo Wulomo, and Kole Wulomo. Were dressed white with the nyanya and things around his neck and everything. They poured libation for him, and he waved the crowd. He told them, he signaled them, a neighbor. Like they say in Ghana, I'm going to come, I'm going to come. Yeah, he said he was going to come, me Yamaba. Ton, Kenya Ashia. No war, near Ashia. Menema, Menye no Kunukamefe, me Yamaba. And he was taken into the ferry and was exiled for 3 years. Today, we are sitting in Accra. A Ghanaian has imposed something worse than poll tax. A Ghanaian has imposed e-levy, and there's no Gamanche to raise his finger. It's a disgrace. We don't even know why there's Gamanche at all. 1878, King Takitayua was exiled for 3 years. Today, people calling themselves Gamanche, they are even scared to say a word because they could be banished for 1 week. They are even scared. Yakagbemen. But for those who want to know the history of resistance to British policy or British rule, this is what I'm telling you. King Takitayua was exiled for 3 years. Of course, when there was no Manche and people resisted putting on a Manche, they had to bring him back. So the British learned, and everyone in the land learned something. Next time there was an exile or someone was going to be sent to exile, they didn't do it in Ghana anymore. They took Asantini to Seychelles. They don't want a scenario where the people know that the king is around and they will not install another king and they'll be disturbing them. So they took him far away to Seychelles. Again, King Prempeh I also learned. When the British troops reached Kumasi in 1896, he did not resist. He did not fight. He did behave like in Takitayua. He just surrendered. No blood was shed, and was taken to exile in Seychelles. So this is what happened. 1878. Oh, I forgot. Can I have the first slide? I'm speaking without the slide. I forgot it. Okay, so I was talking about the Fanti Confederacy, Accra Native Confederacy. This is what happened when they were a protectorate. Okay, 1844 to 1874. Next slide. the colony, 1874 to 1951. Okay. So after Kintakitayua, we have the Aborigines Right Protection Society, funded by Fanti elites largely, okay, led by John Mensah Saba in 1897. This was largely a single issue movement, but it was the first organized movement against British policy, the Crown Lands Bill of 1897. These people did not only create the scenario, but they took their own money to England to go and protest the Queen's 1897 Crown Bill's law, or a Crown's Land Bill, that was going to convert all the marshland in the country to the property of the monarch. We'll talk about this later sometime when we're talking about compulsory acquisition by Ghanaian government, okay? But then, 1887, these people, John Mensah Saba, Wilson Say, Kesley Hayford, Aklahoma, who are the other ones? I mean, they were largely Fanti, with the exception of two of them, Atahuma and Alote Hammond, who were guards. All the rest were Fanti lawyers and businessmen. There was not one single Achem. Not one. This was the first resistance movement to any British policy. And the Crown Lands Bill was dropped because of the protest of this men who used their own money to go to England to go and protest, not for Fanti lands, but for the whole colony. Not for Fanti lands, but for the whole colony. And they never did these things because they were Fantis. They did these things because they were gold coasters. Okay? And I think they even feel sad in their graves if they hear they were talking about their ethnicity, because that wasn't the consideration. At that point in time, they couldn't understand why a white king or a white queen would want to own our land. And they fought for it. And their grandchildren and great-grandchildren are not bragging. They are not even talking about it. There was not a single action. Yeah, then I think Kobna Sechi was also there. And I've forgotten a few of them. They formed the ARPS. When Mensah Saba died in 1910, who took over? The greatest of them all. Joseph Ephraim Kesley Hayford. He took over as president of the ARPS. And then there was the, I think the Crown Forest Bill, something to do with forest, I've forgotten, in 1911. And led by Kesley Hayford, they went there again with their own money to protest. And that was dropped. These were people who fought for Ghana, not as per independence, but they fought for our rights, Aborigines protection rights, protection society. They fought for our rights, our ownership of the land. Their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren are not bragging. These were Fanti people. These were Fanti people. Now, then we have the NCBWA, that is National Congress of British West Africa. You know, like all single purpose or single issue movements, they die with the death of the issue. So we sorted the land and the ARPS died. Now, Kesley Hayford then moved the next level to form the first nationalist movement calling for constitutional change in West Africa, not just Ghana. That's why I say he's the greatest of them all. Okay, he formed the National Congress of British West Africa, headquartered in Accra in 1920. And then he took his own money to UK to meet the Secretary of the Colonies and also to address the League of Nations, what we all call now United Nations. Yes, yes, he addressed the League of Nations on the African situation. Now, he was lucky because he met a very good governor, or a very good governor came to meet him. Gordon Gordonsburg. Gordon Gordonsburg. And some of the things, what's his name? Joe Kisleyford went to ask, led to the building of opportunity where he wanted our own university. And then wanted constitutional reforms. And that led to the building of Achimota. And that led to the Gordonsburg Constitution, which granted more places for Africans in legislative council. Of course, he stood for the seat for second D and he won and was a member of that council. But that was him, his own money. And in 1911, he wrote a book, Ethiopia Unbound, which is said to be the first book written in English by an African. I've not yet read that book, but apparently it's a very, very interesting book. He wrote other books about Fanti and whatever. And then I think there's a particular book he wrote, which he analyzed traditional rule in Fanti and Ashanti. And from that, he proposed that the Gold Coast colony should be made an independent state or a form of a dominion within the Greater British Empire. I've not read that book, so I don't know. But even way back then, he made that he wasn't keen on granting, because I think he said something like that, you cannot run a country with 8 lawyers in Cape Coast. So he wasn't only intelligent, he was very pragmatic. He's done law in UK. He knows how a proper state runs. He wasn't an ideologue. He was a pragmatic thinker who knew that in 1920, we couldn't have been independent. We didn't know anything to run an efficient country. So he didn't ask for that. He believed that if we have our own university, we train more people, more people are educated, then we can make incremental movement towards becoming self-governing. But that was, unfortunately, he died very early. He died in 1930. And when he died, his National Congress of British West Africa died with him. There was a lull in political activism after the death of Joe Kisley-Hayford. It appears that, he was the last person in his generation. And nothing really happened after. And there was a lull. And of course, there was a Second World War. So everything went into hibernation. After the Second World War, the United States and the USSR then put pressure on Britain to decolonize, because they told Britain that colonization and Nazism were cousins. They were the same, two sides of the same coin. If Nazism had gone, then colonization must also go. In the first place, the British tried to start the process of decolonization was, of course, the model colony, Ghana. And that came with the Ben's Constitution of 1946, which was the highest level, which had the highest level of indigenous representation in colonial Africa. That was 1946. 1947, something happened. A group was formed. And those of you who know the story, the group was formed with the money of Power Grant. But its political leadership was J.B. Dankwa. Now, J.B. Dankwa formed this group particularly to sabotage the Ben's Constitution, which he had supported. And the reason for wanting to sabotage it was because of the Achem ritual murder. They challenged the ritual, the judgment right up to London. And at every step, they lost. So he was very angry that the ritual murder, which he defended and which he supported, had lost the case. So he was going to punish the British. So he decided that he was going to form this party, this group, to sabotage the Ben's Constitution. That is the story. JB didn't do anything for Ghana independence. I'm saying it. That's why I formed UGCC. August 1947. Park Grant paid for Nkrumah to come back in December 1947 after a combination with Kwaje that he was a workaholic and he'll be able to work very well and organize the party. So he was brought back as a general secretary. December 1947. January 1948, New Cabinet Boni, Oswala Tamanche, with his own money, organized boycott of European goods, which was supposed to last for 1 month to end on the 28th of February. Okay. On the same 28th of February, ex-servicemen who went to the Second World War and were promised certain things and those things were not being fulfilled, decided to march to present a petition to the governor at Osu Castle. At Osu Crossroads, Superintendent Emery, British Superintendent Emery, shot 3 of them down. Sergeant Ajete, Captain Corporal Tipo, and Private Odatelamte. Once they were killed and the message spread across Accra that these three servicemen had been killed, coupled with the boycott and looting in Accra, Accra exploded. There was rout everywhere and it spread to the rest of the country. Now, I think on the 1st of March, for the first time in the history of the colonial government, they imposed a state of emergency. Everything was out of control. What I want people to know is that at this particular point in time, the Burns Constitution and the Burns Legislative Council was in place as a stepping stone to independence or to decolonization. They want to ensure how long, but it's supposed to last for 5 years. And then they will see what they will do after the end of the tenure of the Burns Constitution. But then the riots happened. The governor had to form a commission of inquiry called the Watson Commission to look into the disturbances and what has happened in Accra and the rest of the country. After the inquiry, they established that the Burns Constitution was not enough to meet the needs of the people of Gold Coast. So he recommended that there should be massive constitutional changes, and that necessitated the formation of Kuse Committee to draw a roadmap for the Gold Coast independence. Kuse Committee submitted its report, I think, first week in November 1949. June 1949, Nkrumah, Bedema, Botio had led the breakaway group from a UGCC CYO to form CPP. Now, these people, Kuse made a mistake that he did not invite Nkrumah and leaders of CPP to the Kuse Committee. But anyway, the Kuse Committee met and they drew up the timetable, election, everything to lead to Ghana's independence. Let me say it again. The Kuse Committee made Ghana independence British colonial official policy. Okay, the granting of independence to Ghana was decided by Kuse Committee. Kuse Committee and the recommendation it gave to government. From November, government accepted the Kuse Committee report, and elections. Municipal elections were held, I think, first in 1950, and then 1951 February, the first universal adult suffrage in Africa was held. Okay. There was a transition period where there will be, what they call limited self-government, where the governor will share executive position with the leader Ghanaians will choose. All right. I'm trying to make these things a bit short. All I'm trying to establish here is that the independence of Ghana or the struggle for independence in Ghana was not the same as the one in Namibia or in Zimbabwe or in South Africa. All right. In Ghana, it was decided by Watson that the 1946 Ben's Constitution was no longer adequate to the aspirations of Ghanaians. So that was cut short, and Kusi wrote the timetable for independence. It started with elections. Now, the first general election in Ghana was February 1951. There were 38 contested seats, and then 37 seats from provincial representatives, and I think 9 seats from business concerns or something, 84 in all, but 38 were contested for. And of these 38, J.B. Dankwa was the leader of UGCC, and he was given the chance to win the elections and become Ghana's first prime minister. J.B. Dankwa, the chairman, was given the chance to do that. Nkrumah was in jail following the positive action. Okay, so the leader at that point of time for CPP at that point in time was Bedema. Out of the 38 seats, Bedema and CPP won 34. JB Dankwa and UGC won 2, and 2 went to independence. Okay, JB Dankwa was a nobody in the 1950s. Absolutely nobody. He got 2 seats with his party. Bedema, small Bedema, got 34 out of 38. I didn't create the facts. And based upon this, Nkrumah was released from prison and he became leader of government business in parliament. And then the year after, he was made prime minister. Next slide. So, the proper colonial period ended with the 1951 elections. We went to the transition period, or what others call period of limited self-government. 1951 to 1957, March 1957. Who were the players here? CPP, UGCC, GCP, MPP, NLM. CPP was led by Nkrumah. UGC was led by Dankwa. But after it was trounced in 1951 elections, the group dissolved. And then GCP, Ghana Congress Party, was formed by Buzia to replace UGCC. And Chief Dombo, Simon Dombo, formed the Northern People's Party, NPP, to contest the next elections, which was 1954. Good. So again, Kofi Abrefa Buzia was also given a chance, just like J.B. Dankwa, to win the 54 elections and become Ghana's prime minister. But again, like J.B. Dankwa, he also failed. He got 1 seat out of 104, and that was his own seat in Wenchi. Okay. Nkrumah and CPP got 72 out of the seats, and Simon Dombo got 15 in the north. And 11 or so were independents. So independents had more seats in parliament than Ghana Congress Party by far. This is a simple truth. J.B. Dankwa could not even win his seat in Abuakwa, nor Pawili, nor Edward Akufo-Addo. They couldn't. Only 1 seat was their seat. So when people talk about Ghana and independence, I don't know what they are talking about. Because the independence of Ghana was decided by Kusi. And the way to determine who would take over after the white man has left was through elections. And these guys never won the elections. They were not able to convince the people that they were the right people to govern them. They never won any election. I'm yet to see one single thing that any Achem chief did to either start the independence process or catalyze it or win it. I don't know. So when you see elderly people like, what's his name? Osafo Mafu, talking like the way he talks, something is fundamentally wrong. When you see people like Atachia, people who have been to school like Atachia, saying that without chemistry, there's no issue of Ghana, something is fundamentally wrong. Some people's heads are not working well. Now, I'm telling you the history. So that was the elections, 1954. Now, Nkrumah and Gbedema made a terrible error. Before the 54 elections, now, for you to understand, in 1954, there were 21 seats in Ashanti. CPP won 18. Busia won 1, and 2 went to independence. CPP was Ashanti Party. CPP won 18 of the 21 seats. Okay? In the colony itself, that is what is today Eastern region, Greater Accra, Central and Western regions. That's the real colony itself. Nkrumah CPP won 45 of the 46 seats. 45 of the 46 seats. 1 went to an independent. He took all the seats from Greater Accra. He took all the seats from Eastern region. He took all the seats from Western region. I think 1 Central region seat went to independent or something like that. But he demolished JB Namka complete. They have nothing to do with the 54 elections. So when people are saying that these people struggle for, I don't know what struggle they are talking about. There was no struggle. The struggle that happened wasn't a political one. It was a social one by Ghanaians who decided to riot after the death of Sajaniti and Co. That prompted the state of emergency that led to the Watson Commission and Kusi Committee and the roadmap. That's it. Anyway, before the 1954 elections, Nkrumah and Gbedema told cocoa farmers that they were going to follow the price of cocoa. Okay, so that it to be linked to the price of the cocoa on the world market and not a fixed price. Just after the elections and they won massively, then Gbedema, a month after, Gbedema went to Parliament with a new bill to say that no, they will keep the fixed cocoa price. And on top of that, they're going to impose export duty, 10% export duty on cocoa. So that you, the cocoa farmer, that you're going to export the produce for Ghana to get the money that it needs, you also have to pay export duty. Is that not madness? And that was the turning point of CPP in Ashanti. Bafo Akoto, the chief linguist of Asantini, seized upon it and formed the National Liberation Movement in 1954, I think in September, to challenge Nkrumah. And that was the end of Nkrumah in Ashanti. Bafo Akoto formed the NLM in 1954, and they pushed for another elections. And that brought on the election of 1956. And that election of 1956, I'll just be brief here. The election was such that Nkrumah got 71 seats out of 104. He lost I think 9 seats in Ashanti. And totally, the NLM, led by Bafo Akoto, won 12 seats in Ashanti. So for the first time, the opposition, the Ashanti-based opposition, got more than 2 seats. They got 2 seats in 1951. They got one seat in 1954. Bafo Koto made it 12. Even in 1956, J.B. Dankwa could not get a seat. Nkrumah swept the colony again. And that's how we came into independence. After these 1956 elections, you all know what happened. We can talk about it the whole day, but eventually independence was granted on the 6th of March, 1957. Now, what I'm trying to tell you people here is that in Ghana, there was no struggle for independence that you witnessed or you read about in other places. The struggle was who would take over after the white man had left. Okay, so the struggle was between Nkrumah and Gbedemo on one hand and Buzi and Dankwa on the other hand. Okay, that's the struggle. There was no struggle with the white man at all. The white man decided by November 1949 that Ghana was going to get independence, and decided that the way to grant independence was for the people of Ghana to vote for who they want to govern them. That's all. This is the only simple truth. So Ghanaians got their own independence, and they voted for Nkrumah to lead them as their new leader. Ghanaians made Nkrumah, not the other way around. We can talk about this at some other time. But I want you people to know that Nkrumah won a seat in Accra Central. In the parliamentary system, if Nkrumah had lost against Dr. H.H. Bannerman in Accra Central, Nkrumah wouldn't have been the Prime Minister of Ghana. Bannerman would have been the Prime Minister because he won a seat in Keta. So it was the people of Accra who made Nkrumah Prime Minister. Okay? It was the people of Accra who made Nkrumah Prime Minister. I didn't write this. That's what happened. Because people were that civilized way back then that Nkrumah and his mama came and won in the center of Accra, in Ashedu Keteke, the next center of the Ghana state. Because the people there were that civilized. In 2020 or 2022, people are talking about what their chiefs did. But the chiefs didn't do anything. Way back then, people were not saying, no, we vote for our own. They didn't vote for their own. They didn't vote for Niamode. They didn't vote for H.H. Bannerman. They would have Nkrumah, then Zimama. And when people don't even talk, guys don't even talk about how they helped. After knowing that the CPP itself was funded largely by Gamokola women, Dede Ashkeshan, Shoshosho, Adua, Amayete, women, Letitia Kwe. They don't talk because they were supporting their party. That's their job. That's what they wanted to do. And what did our Yachem chiefs do? Nothing. What did JB Donka do? Nothing. Did they win elections? No. So why are they harassing us? Why are they turning history upside down? Anyway, so there is a transition. As a matter of fact, in that tradition, pro-legal tradition, as far as I'm concerned, their main man for the 50s was Bafo Koto. So in summary, for the 50s, the key political players, as far as I'm concerned, as far as proper history is concerned, the key political figures were Kwame Nkrumah number 1, Bedoma number 2, Simon Dombo number 3, Bafo Koto number 4. Full stop. Next slide. Okay. This is the other funny part. Asante and the colony. You see, people always make a mistake. The history of Ghana is not the same. I mean, the Ghana we are now is not the same as the history of the Gold Coast colony. Because the Gold Coast colony did not include Ashanti, did not include Northern territories for a large part. And then, yeah, so the colony It's what I've told you about. The present-day Greater Accra, Eastern region, Western region, Central region. Okay, that's a colony. And the history of this colony is not exactly the same as the history of Ghana as we have it now. To have a complete history, you also have to have the history of Ashanti separately. Now, Ashanti and the colony. Ashanti and Britain fought 5 wars. And I want to make this point clear. Those 5 wars were not about colonization. Not at all. In actual fact, the first 3 wars were Ashanti were the aggressors in the first 3 wars. The 1824 Nsamako War, the 1863-64 Kufi Jana War, and the 1874 war. Ashanti crossed the Pra for different reasons to wage those wars. They won the first war, the second war was a draw, and they lost the third war. These 3 wars had nothing to do with colonization. Britain never intended to colonize Ashanti. And Ashanti never resisted British colonization. Okay, we should get the facts very clear. 1896. After the 1874 war ended, Ashanti was forced to sign the Formula Treaty. I think there were 6 or 7 conditions under the treaty, one of which was Ashanti to pay 50,000 ounces of gold for being the aggressor and as the cost of the war. They were also made to renounce any territorial claims south of the Pra River. They were made to sign that there will be no more human sacrifices. And then fees for forts and castles and other things. About 6 or 7 clauses were there. Now, I'm saying this because some people also want to twist the history and give the impression that all the wars of Ashanti were Ashanti resistance to British colonization. That is simply not true. Even when Britain defeated Ashanti in 1874, they did not colonize Ashanti. They were not interested. They only wanted business. Okay. 1896, the British governor was the first time he crossed, or British troops crossed the Pra to go and attack Ashanti with the excuse that Ashanti had not paid the 50,000 ounces of gold. But other historians say no, it was because the British were worried that the Germans and the French were going to compete with them with trade, with Ashanti trade. So they wanted monopoly. They wanted to go in there, take down the kingdom, take it over, so that they will be the only person to trade with Ashanti. But I believe that, for me, it was more because of the emergence of cocoa. For those of you who know, Ghana exported cocoa for the first time in 1893. And 3 years after, British, knowing the way they think, they knew that, okay, this cocoa is going to be a big thing here. So they quickly went in, overthrew the Asantini, dismantled the Confederacy, and sent him to exile in Seychelles. Even then, they didn't colonize Ashanti. Ashanti became a protectorate of the crown. And in this sense, the protectorate in this sense was to protect British interests in Ashanti. They're not interested in really Ashanti people. What for? What do they need that for? What they wanted at that point was the wealth in the soil. And they wanted whatever to take it without much pressure on them to send staff and civil service, and no. They want to live their own life and they will do the business. And that's what happened. Then the 5th war was 1900, when the Queen's representative or whatever went to Kumasi and demanded that the golden stool should be brought to him to sit on. And that's part of the Yasentua War from March 1900 to September 1900. Eventually, the old lady lost the war, and she was also exiled to Seychelles. Okay. January 1902, Ashanti was annexed into the colony. But even with the annexation, still Ashanti remained autonomous politically. Ashanti was not part of the political structure of the Gold Coast. It still remained autonomous because the British didn't want to colonize it. What for? They had all the business, they had all the trade. Anyway, after a while, after 1925, Britain brought the king, Prempe number one. Guggisberg brought Prempe number one from Seychelles back to Kumasi. And within 10 years' time, they restored the Confederacy and made him Asante again, and not just Kumasi Hini. Okay. So this is the relationship between Britain and Ashanti for that period. Okay. There was no attempt by Britain to colonize Ashanti for Ashanti to resist. It never happened. Okay. If you hear that from anywhere, tell the person I say it's a lie. It never happened. Then now Ashanti still, even after 1935, still remain autonomous. Okay. It didn't join the Guggisberg Parliament or Legislative Council. Ashanti only joined the Gold Coast political structure in 1946 with the Burns Constitution. And for me, it was a mistake. Not so much that it was a mistake Ashanti joined, but the way Ashanti joined. I don't believe there were any guarantees. I mean, I'll probably have to talk about this separately, but it's very sad that the king took his whole kingdom into a legislative council and the kingdom became a region. And I learned this thing when I was in South Africa, that when Buthelezi was arguing for the Zulu monarchy, he said that they can call all the other places provinces. But KwaZulu-Natal will be Kingdom of KwaZulu-Natal. Because you see, you can divide a province because it's a civil administration something, but you can't divide a kingdom. Because it falls outside civil administration. And there were other guarantees I would have sought if I were that something at that point in time. It was too easy an integration. Honestly. And if I were him, having been in charge of a confederacy for centuries, you should have known that it would have been better arrangement for Ghana to be a federal state, Ashanti and the colony coming together as a federal union than what he did. We are suffering as a result of that. As you know, I'm a federalist, so I see it as an error. Anyway, so that's basically the relationship. So the relationship between Asante and the colony, the restoration of the Confederacy in 1925 and the joining of the LC in 1946, that actually ended Ashanti's autonomy. Next slide. So summary. Oh, so soon. So one, Kusi made independence official policy. There was no political struggle for Kusi to come to that conclusion. Okay, and there was none. No Achem chief or citizen fought for anything. Nothing. Asante came under the colony really for only 5 years, 1946 to 1951. Then we entered into a transition and then we became fully independent in 1957. So there was no struggle in the first place for the Gold Coast, for Kusi Committee report to come out. And even if there was, Ashanti wasn't actually part of that thing until 1946. So Ashanti couldn't have fought for independence for a system it did not belong to. So not only not only did, what's his name, Osafomanfo lied, he also showed gross ignorance, about the two spheres of the two political spheres on our land, the colony and Ashanti. He didn't know. If he knew, he wouldn't have said what he said. Now, Ashanti made 3 mistakes in his integration with the colony. Early granting of independence was a social action by Ghanaians and not political action by politicians. Like I've said, it was the Accra routes that led to the state of emergency, to Watson's and to Kusi. It was a social action by the people, not a political action by politicians. You see, now, I said Asante made 3 mistakes. The second one was when the LNM was formed, you should have asked for a referendum whether Ashanti wants to join a unity Ghana or to want to have a federation with Ghana. Judging from 1954 elections, there was no way NLM was going to win 1956 elections. As a matter of fact, NLM fielded only 39 candidates in Ashanti and Eastern. It wasn't a national party. It was a very regional party. Okay, and there was no way going to win. So the way they went about that, their integration was very wrong, because they should have asked a referendum like it happened at Transwater Togoland, and they would decide. And if they said, "Well, we want a federation with Ghana," would have had a federal constitution. But they didn't do that. They went to challenge Nkrumah, and Nkrumah beat them 56, hands down. That was a mistake. The third mistake was that they were not very thorough, as we are not thorough even today. In the 1954 elections, CPP got 55% of the popular vote. Okay? 55% of the popular votes, but they got 68% of seats in parliament. They got more than 2/3 of seats in parliament. In fact, I got 69% of seats in parliament, actually. They got 69% of seats, more than 2/3. That's a constitution changing mandate. But they actually got only 55% of the votes. So if I were a member of NLM, I was going to push that the 56 elections should be proportional representation and not constituency based. Because with proportional representation, and this will happen, after the elections, say people got 57% of the seat, 57% votes, 57% vote, but 68% of the seats, 2/3. And with those 2/3 majority, Nkrumah repealed so many things. It was a virtual one-party state, because it could change anything, because the threshold to change anything in the constitution then was 2/3. He had more than 2/3 of the seats. And that was the end of Ghana. They made a terrible mistake. But you see, we never look at figures. Because if they were looking at it, they would know that the man got 55% in 54 and got 69% of the seats. He got 57 now, he got 60% of the seat. That's the end of Ghana. That was the end of it. They made 3 cardinal mistakes, and we are all suffering today. That's the assignment. The catalyzed independence of Ghana was attained as a result of social action, the Accra routes. Okay. As far as I'm aware, no Achem Chief did anything for Ghana to attain the independence in March 1957. This madness about who founded Ghana and this, I mean, it's even tiring. How can a Ghanaian found Ghana? Nkrumah was brought back 1947 December. In less than 9 years, when he published his autobiography, he called his autobiography Ghana. That means he was Ghana. Somebody came back into the country of his birth. In less than 9 years, he was the founder of the country. Something. Am I missing something? Am I missing something? Then another loser formed a party in 1947. 4th of August, inaugurated by 4th of August. And people are saying that that day is the Founders Day. But that party itself did not last more than 4 years. 1947, after 1951 elections, less than 5 years, the party disappeared. They say it's Founders Day. How was Ghana founded on 4th of August? You see, all this madness is just for one thing. I don't know why Dankwa and Kuma are fighting for the soul of Ghana. I just don't know. The Kuma propagandists will tell you things you can't even believe they've been to school. And these Dankwa revisionists too, we don't know. What are they on drugs? It's just unbelievable that people claim to be founders of a country into which they were born. You've been born into this house, then you grow up and you say, no, you build a house. Hey, Ghana. Anyway, next slide. Oh, the way for, okay. Well, the Ghana evolution from ethnic kingdoms to a nation state, the promise, collapse, and redemption. This is a book I'm going to write that will detail all these things from the first time we came into contact with Europe, with Don Diego de Ajambuja in 1472, and now coming answer, right to 2022. All that has happened. The promise we held at independence, the collapse along the way, and the redemption that is coming. Chao Manyaba. Hello? Oh.
Hello. Yes, this is final slide.
Yeah. Oh, I finished talking about it. Oh, it didn't come.
No. Okay. Sorry. It's okay.
No. Okay. So the final slide basically is the way forward. The Ghana evolution from ethnic kingdoms to a nation state. The promise, collapse, and redemption. And I'm saying this book will stop all the nonsense going on. It's going to talk about Ghana from 1472 when Don Diego de Zambuja met Nana Kwame Nkrumah at the Elmina in Elmina to 2022, where we are. The promise we had at independence, the collapse along the way, and the redemption that is coming. Chua Omanyaba.
Okay. There you go. Okay, so thank you for that, Dr. Nee. That's come through nice and clean. Now, thank you very much. We're over an hour already, so let me just go and see what questions we have here. Here, one from Shika. She said, I wonder why the revisionist attempts to rewrite our history when the facts are clear in who did what and who failed to do what. And she says here, next is, do they think the people of Ghana will just swallow the lies they want to feed us?
Because for some time now, we've been made to believe in big C's. They talk about who are the big C's? The big C's were people meeting. The British police went to raid office of UGCC. They found some people sitting down there drinking tea and cake, and they arrested them. They didn't do anything, absolutely nothing. But they believe that, like Goebbels of Hitler's fame, the more you lie, the truer it becomes.
Mm-hmm.
So they just keep doing it. But we'll stop them because it's getting too much. Mm-hmm. It's the facts are so simple. We'll get there.
Okay. There's a new person who's commented here. Martin says, good listening to my roommate, science student with great history.
Look at this boy. He's calling me his roommate. Me, I'm your senior.
Okay. I don't
we went to the same primary school, the same secondary school. And we're all from Usu, actually. Yeah, he's my young brother. Yeah.
Okay. So those are the questions. I think what Sophia's asked is if I can acknowledge to you the people who are on here. I think that's what she's asking. So we've got Kenneth, the greetings from London.
I'm Kofi, how are you?
Andra.
Oh, Biko, that's good. That's my first cousin.
Okay, lovely. Then there's Sophia.
Oh, man, Sophie.
Hubert.
Hubert, that's good.
I've shown you Martin already, and then did I do Christopher already?
Yaji Ema. Yaji Ema means that we are taking back our country.
Amen. Yes, that's everybody. That's everybody else on here.
Okay, that's good. No, that's good. So, yeah, so brothers and sisters, this is the story. You know, uh, what's his name? Your man who was so wrong. Actually, it's quite mischievous. You know, I don't know who is fighting and what he is fighting for. No Achen chief, no Achen chief made any contribution worthy of note towards Ghana's independence. This is the true story I've told you. No Achen chief, none. And Ashanti didn't have to do it because they were not actually part of the colony. Okay. They joined the colony in 1946. In 1951, we started our transition to full independence. So really, Ashanti stay under the full white control was very limited. And there was nothing to fight for. By 1949 November, Kusi had decided that Ghana was going to be granted independence. The struggle from then to 1970 was who will win the elections to lead Ghana. Full stop. And Nkrumah won the elections. Nkrumah didn't from Ghana. It's crazy to even think that way. Ghanaians voted for him.
I don't know. Why do you think there is such a fanfare and people call Nkrumah the father of Ghana or the founding father of Ghana? Why do you think that's what a lot of people think?
Because, look, when Ghana got independent, he made a coin and his picture was there and his name was there as the founder of State of Ghana. He gave himself that title. Why he needed to do that, only God knows. Only God knows why a human being will say he founded the country where he was born into. Something must be wrong somewhere. I mean, I don't know which mind will conjure such magic.
Hi, Pastor John. He says I'm here as well. Hi, Pastor John. Just seeing your comment.
You see, even before Ghana became independent, Nkrumah released his autobiography October 1956. Okay, and the name of his autobiography was Ghana. He was Ghana. Something is wrong.
It's like, why is it? I mean, yours is pretty much the only voice I've heard challenging this notion. In all the times I've heard about Ghana and the origins of Ghana and so on and so forth, you're the only person I've heard challenging this notion. Why do you think not more people are saying the same thing? Why aren't people realizing the same thing that you've realized?
Under a spell, I don't know. I mean, nobody can put spell, nobody can cast spell on me. That's the problem. No, I mean, can you imagine anybody arguing that somebody was born into a country that he founded? I mean, where is the common sense? I mean, the man was born in Zimba, Western Ghana. He came to school in Achimota, built by Goko's Cocoa money. And then they say he founded the country. I mean, what are we talking about here?
I hear you.
So those people who say whatever I say, just ask them, how is that possible? What was Nkrumah born? So then, because Nkrumah said that, these other people will also have to come up with their own stories to rewrite the history. That's why I say Nkrumah propagandists and the revisionists, damn quite revisionists. So they have to, and we're doing this fight for 65 years. No country in Africa does that. Because it's really laughable. The man was in England. Somebody paid for his ticket to come back to Ghana to be a general secretary. And then after 9 years, he founded the country. And we believe we're going to be on JSS. We actually believe he's going beyond JSA. We believe he's going junior school. How can you think like this if he's going beyond junior school? I mean, people paid for him to come back to his country, to come and take a position in the party. And less than 9 years after, he became the founder of the country. You see what dead brains do? I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Okay. I'm wondering if it's more to do with, I hear what you're saying. I wonder if it's more to do with the fact that he was the first president? He was the first president, wasn't he, after independence?
Yes, I mean, yeah. I mean, Patrice Lumumba was the first prime minister. Gigos Olympio, Silvio Olympio, or whatever, Sylvanus Olympio was the first prime minister of Togo. Tafawa Balewa was the first prime minister of Nigeria. Have you ever heard this argument in Nigeria before? That, Tafawa Balewa is the founder of Nigeria. People think he's crazy.
That's true. Never heard that.
Nobody will say that. Nobody will say that. Or Ofuobanyi never said he was the founder of Africa. That is laughable. He was when the bloody country. Why don't they say, why even Mugabe, who fought guerrilla warfare, never claimed he's the founder of Zimbabwe? That would be funny. Don't think he's crazy. You bought the country and say you founded the country. Anyway.
Totally understand. I understand. I totally understand. Okay, well, Dr. Nee, those are all the questions.
I think. Okay, so Pastor John is okay. That's good.
Yeah, you just say like he's here as well, because like he hadn't posted up by the time I was going through everybody else's, but I just want to make sure that he's seen now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, all right, good. Oh, the time has gone. Oh.
Yeah, I know. The time really has gone.
Yeah.
So everybody, want to thank you for logging on. Thank you for your questions, Benishika. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for everybody who participated. As always, we're going to be back next week, same place, same time. Let your friends and family know about this particular channel, and just keep spreading the message. Keep sharing it on WhatsApp, whatever platforms your friends and family most use. Send this message out, and we hope that you'll get them to join us next week, where they can also participate, ask any questions that they might have. Okay, Dr. Nee?
Yeah, right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.